For many who identify as transgender, the person who they are in their minds doesn't match their bodies. Right now, researchers at the Medical College of Georgia are studying whether there is biological evidence of this mental, physical struggle. News Channel 6's Ashley Osborne reports.
Hello guys, it's me, Nikki.
Recently, popular beauty influencer and YouTube star known as Nikki Tutorials came out publicly to her more than 13 million subscribers.
When I was younger, I was born in the wrong body, which means that I am transgender.
Right now, researchers at MCG are studying if there's biological proof you can be born in the wrong body. In other words, can the gender of your body be different than the gender of your brain?
I've seen a number of these patients for about 20 years.
OBGYN Dr. Lawrence C. LAYMAN is the chief of reproductive endocrinology, infertility, and genetics, and he studies the science of gender identity.
Because I think there has to be a biological basis for it.
And why do you say that? Why do you think that there must be a biological basis for it?
It just seems that people wouldn't choose to do that, and many of these people know at a very young age they're the opposite sex of what their gender is.
Dr. Graham Tyson says they based their study on research in animals that shows there's a critical period for brain development related to exposure to estrogen or testosterone that impacts gender expression.
That's the time where the brain is able to be masculinized or feminized. And for most, if not all, of the mammals that we've seen this in, it happens right before birth and then a little bit afterwards. Once that exposure occurs, the behavior is lifelong.
So Drs. Tyson and LAYMAN studied the DNA of 30 transgender people and specifically looked at genes involved in estrogen and testosterone metabolism in the brain.
So we were looking for variants in some of the genes in the pathways of estrogen and testosterone metabolism that might affect the way it's metabolized and so therefore alter the exposure to the brain.
Dr. Tyson says they did find variants in those brain pathways in the transgender people.
Variants in genes cause everything about us that makes us unique people. And so something like blue eyes versus brown eyes, how tall you are. So we see gender identity in that way. And we think that gender is as diverse as any other trait that we have.
The results of this study show some of the first biological evidence of the mental versus physical struggle transgender people say they experience.
We found variants that could go along with that, but it's not totally confirmed whether that is a cause and effect. So you really have to have bigger numbers.
So they plan to continue studying the topic to understand more.
For the majority of people, who we are, the gender that we feel ourselves to be, matches what we see on the outside. But that's obviously not always the case. And we're trying to help people understand why that is, including people that are in patients that want to understand themselves better.
In Augusta, Ashley Osborne, WJBF News Channel 6.